Welcome to the Big Lou podcast, where I, Big Lou, share stories and insights from my journey as an independent musician. I'm currently based in London, Ontario, but I'm from St. Maarten, born and raised on a tiny island in the Caribbean, and I've had the privilege of experiencing a lot since beginning music less than 5 years ago. I've performed across towns and cities in southwestern Ontario. I've won multiple awards and received many more nominations. I've even opened for acts like the Wailers, Bob Marley's old band, in the Caribbean, and I got to fly out to Sweden in summer of 2025 to perform at a music festival there. Each episode in this Big Lou episode or Big Lou podcast is designed to be both educational and entertaining. I'll be offering a mix of personal stories and practical insights, more so specifically for Canadian independent musicians looking to build their careers, but I'm sure musicians across the globe could benefit from some of the stuff that we talk about. And you don't necessarily have to be in a major hub either to make this work. So I invite you to tune in for inspiring stories, valuable tips, and a glimpse into the life of a musician who's actually doing it and doing it independently from the beginning, as big as we could take this. My name is Big Lou, and I'll be providing new episodes whenever I can, exclusively on YouTube. So go ahead, like, subscribe if you're enjoying what we got. And if you don't know what we got yet, stay tuned and we'll dive right into it. All right. So this is going to be a very quick episode. It's been more than a couple of months since my last episode, and that's my favorite part about the Big Lou podcast. You could release it whenever you want, whenever you want, however you want, wherever you want. But this episode is just going to be a quick recap as to what I want to talk about in some of the next episodes around some of the things that happened, let's say the second half of this year being 2025. And without further ado, let's just jump into it. Be aware that each of these topics will be turned into their own podcasts, maybe even multiple podcasts, because they are quite in depth, and I think there's a lot of value that can be shared from the experience. So the first one that I want to start with is a music video that we did in October of 2025. We is my business partner, my videographer, my cinematographer friend. His name is Brad. Big shout out to Brad Beard. Him and I have been collaborating for years, since we both pretty much began our careers doing the things that we're doing now. And we decided that we wanted to make a music video for a song that I made. And he really, really likes the song. And he's like, yo, let's just do this. Let's make this happen. And so we put something together, a proposal for a grant application, I think in 2024, and we were denied. The grant application, for anyone who's interested, is the music video project. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, and you have to submit it in January of every year. But my grant writer, he didn't work on this project for us, but I hired him for other projects. My grant writer told me that the success rate for that's the MVP music video project grant is less than 1%. You have to be really, 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 really good and lucky to get that one. So we applied for it in 2024, and in 2025 we got denied both years. But after the second rejection, we're just like, yo, you should do it on a lower budget, see what we can do, see how we can pull it off. And that became an incredible project. We actually wanted to do it in August, but due to unforeseen circumstances and biting off more than we could chew at the time, we decided to push it back to October. And it was the best decision that we had made, because the day itself was phenomenal. The content that we captured was great, and now we're currently in the process of editing it, and we plan to do a release party as well. So that's all the different kinds of things that I want to talk to you about in that specific episode. Planning it, what it looked like, having to make the different kinds of decisions, what decisions we made, when we made them, who we were going to involve, what went wrong, what we would do better next time, what's coming in terms of the marketing, in terms of the release party, how we plan to execute on all of that. I think is very valuable. If you'd like to watch that episode, go ahead, comment on this video, or see when I post it. It shouldn't be too long, because I got a dope new setup. Oh, I should have started with that. Check it out. I got a new setup. My headphones, my microphone here. I'm doing this on OBS. So I'm doing like a screen recording thing. So I'm testing out the new visual as well. So let me know if you think I need to improve the video capture. Right now I'm using my Mac webcam, but I think I could. If we don't like it, I could use my phone to film for my right now, and then I can maybe add the audio that we're capturing to the video. But we'll see. We'll see as an extra step. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But also I'm building out my studio space. I have a little bit of soundproofing, but it doesn't do very much. So I have a makeshift booth that I use with the green screen. I've got a pull-up bar on this side. So I drape a blanket over and that to like soundproof my booth. But it's dope because I can do this from home. Phenomenal, phenomenal. All right. The next events that I want to dive into in a podcast or two of its own is a keynote concert. Keynote concert is a concept that I came across earlier, I think February or March of 2025. Big shout out to Tiamo. Forget his last name. Big shout out to Tiamo, who is out here promoting it and sharing this wisdom with other artists. But essentially, it's combining public speaking, motivational type talks, and inspirational storytelling with your music, with your original music. But you market yourself as a keynote speaker as opposed to a musician. And then all of a sudden you make speaker rates instead of musician rates. For example, if you're at a conference, maybe they hire you to like stand on the side and play music, and that's cool and all. But you're not necessarily on the main stage doing the thing. And there's a pay gap in between those two. And so if you refocus your marketing and sell yourself as a speaker, assuming that you can like communicate that way effectively as well, then you can get hired as a speaker and make those rates. Oftentimes, background musicians are paid $200 to $500, maybe $800 for that kind of stuff on the background, whereas the speakers are getting paid $2 to $20,000, sometimes even more, depending on the caliber of who you are. But even $2,000 is much more than $500 for the work that you're doing. And if you're out there trying to create an impact and still want to perform your original music, then keynote concerts are a fabulous way to do this. And so I went ahead and I planned my own. We got some video content. We got other speakers come up and do their thing as well. That was a whole experience. So I'd love to dive further into all of that with you guys in the future. But now that I got my setup, you know what I'm saying, I can do that more. Another piece that I'd like to talk about is going to St. Maarten. I was able to go twice at the end of this year. I had to handle some business, do some things out there. But at the same time, I was able to experience a couple of other cool things. I got some footage from my dad opening up a bakery. Yeah, we'll just kind of get into that. A little bit later. I can share some of the content and stuff that we captured. But it was a beautiful time. It was nice to be able to go back. Relax kind of for periods of the time during the day, escaping to the beach, and just reconnecting with the crew. So we'll get into that a little bit, but it was a beautiful time. And then wrapping up, I got approached by a booking agent, and we had to sign an official contract, and I had to create my QuickBooks so that I can receive an invoice payment from them for a 50% deposit. And this was actually my first higher paying gig. We'll see if I disclose numbers in the actual episode or in the actual podcast on this. But I can talk to you about how it kind of came to be, how the communication went through, what the QuickBooks experience was like. I think having QuickBooks is great in terms of, managing your bookkeeping and keeping tracks of everything else and invoicing and so much more. I actually plan to learn it a little bit more effectively, but I think this is the next level in terms of payments because it was significantly higher than anything that I've received before for payment. And I didn't, and that's even just the 50% deposit. We'll get into more of that later as to how it all played out. But yeah, that was a meaningful time. All of these were meaningful. And then lastly, I am also planning out my 2026 in terms of like what that's gonna look like, where I think I'm gonna be, where I want to be, the things that I want to be doing, allotting the appropriate amount of time towards each activity, leaving a little bit of room for flexibility. But I have my timeline built out. It's a live document, so I update it as we go. But I think it's very important to have it because now I'm better creating what is coming as opposed to just like letting other people dictate or determine where my time goes. Ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the game plan. I can build out a better, bigger, longer podcast episode talking about the planning that goes into it. Even if this happens in January and you're watching this later on, you can still plan out the rest of your year or consider it for the 2027 or the 2027. I don't know why I said it that year. That way. Whoa, I'm saying a lot of weird things now. I think it's time to wrap this up. But yes, once again, this is the Big Lou podcast, and I'll be pumping out new episodes more frequently now, but still when I can, and they will be released here exclusively on YouTube. I invite you to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, if you're an independent musician or just a fan of the craft. I'll be sharing a little bit of the behind the scenes, outside of the music, what it's like, how we doing it, all that kind of fun stuff. I plan to do more on Twitch as well. I don't know what my handle is. Maybe I'll put it in the description. Maybe I'll just do that next time. But I plan to do these episodes live on Twitch, and then I'm recording it on my OBS because sheesh, I'm getting more tech. And so then I can just repurpose the thing. You know what I'm saying? Work smarter and harder. Got to make sure I ain't got nothing else to say. Nothing else to say. If you know a musician, independent, Canadian, and they're trying to grow their thing, share this with them too. Not necessarily this episode because it's kind of like all over the place, but like share the Big Lou podcast or share my channel. I would really like to meet them or help share some wisdom with them, or maybe they help share some wisdom with me and we can all grow together. But genuine thank you for being here and joining me in the Big Lou podcast. And I hope to see you in real life sometime soon. But until then, keep on creating those opportunities. And remember this is the Big Lou podcast. Damn it.